Welcome to Creative Tien channel. Today we are going to review a mini sewing machine. I saw this one at a store called Flying Tiger Copenhagen. It's more like a toy and it's very cheap, so I don't expect much, but I want to try it and see how it works. There are a lot of similar handheld sewing machines on the market. Most of them are powered either by battery or by a power adapter. And this one is without any electricity. It looks just like a stapler and it acts like one too. You have to press it with your hand, and every time you press, you make one stitch. So the first thing, I want to have the spool threaded. It comes with the mini spool. It is the same size and the shape as our regular bobbin for the sewing machine. So I can use my own extra bobbins to thread it. You can do it on any sewing machine. I have a separate winder and it's easier for me just use it. And I just follow the direction of the arrow to thread it. And I like to use a big spool of the thread. That's usually for the serger, but I like to use a big one even for the regular sewing machine, so I don't feel like I'm running out of thread all the time. The threading part is very simple. First you go through the hole here, and then you go through the tension disc. It's made of two pieces of metal and a spring next to it, so it adjusts the tension. You can adjust the plastic knob here. You can tighten or loosen the tension a little bit. But because this is made of plastic, you have to be very gentle or it will not work properly and it can break easily. And the next step is to go through the needle. For this machine, the hole is left and right, so we go from the right side to the left side, or some people say from the inside to the outside, in that direction. If you thread it from outside in, it will not work. After you thread it, it will be ready to go. There is one optional step. I like to place the thread under the plate. You don't have to do this step, but it can get tangled up if you just leave it on top. So to make life easier, I will just lift up the metal plate. This way you can just pull out the thread, and now the thread is under the plate, and we can release the metal plate. Now we place the fabric under the plate and we are ready to sew. When we are sewing, the fabric will go downward or towards you. So we will start from the bottom of the line you want to sew, and then the stitches will go up. When everything is set correctly, the stitch should look very even and neat. But the problem with the cheap plastic sewing machine is that the tension can get loose after you sew for a while, so it's very hard to keep it consistent. Even if you didn't touch the tension disc or adjust anything, the thread might come out or can get caught somewhere. So that's my experience. And when you are done sewing the line and ready to take out the fabric, you have to first pull out some threads under the needle and then cut it, so you have enough room to move the fabric and not getting stuck, because if you didn't move it, it gets very tight. Now the thread is cut, we can just lift up the metal piece and gently pull out the fabric. And then there's a very crucial step to finish the end of the thread. If you don't finish it properly, it will come off easily. If you pull one end, the whole stitches will come out, and we don't want that. And this is the part that's different from regular sewing machine, because this is basically a chain stitch sewing machine. That means it creates chain stitches on one side, and we have to secure the last stitch so it doesn't come off. To secure the last stitch, we can just pull the thread from the right side to the back side of the fabric. You can use a small pin or a needle, pull it to the back gently. Don't pull too hard, because if you pull too hard, the stitches will come off. And after you pull it to the back, you find the last chain stitch. It will be a loop, and then just pull the tail through the last chain, and you will be secure. And if you want to be more secure, you can tie knots. You can make another loop and tie a knot to secure it. And now you can cut off extra thread because you will be secure. For the beginning end of the thread, it doesn't really have the problem. It's secure. But if you want it to look nicer, you can also pull the thread to the back side and secure it the same way. Go through the last loop and tie a knot. I personally prefer this manual sewing machine without any electricity because it's easier for me to control and less electronic parts to break. But it can be tedious because of all the tying knots to secure the thread, and it's hard to compare to the regular sewing machine. The line will not be perfectly straight. So it's fun toy to play with if you know its limit and don't expect too much. For a really practical sewing machine, my favorite is still the old vintage Singer machine, like Singer 201 or 99, those black metal sewing machine. They are very sturdy and make the best stitches. Another way you can use this chain stitch mini sewing machine is to bind off papers. You can sew together several pages of paper and make a little booklet. I tried to sew through several pages to make a notebook. It works, but it tends to skip stitches here and there, and the line is not very even or neat, but it's certainly possible. You can also adjust the height of the needle. If you change the new needle and it doesn't stitch, maybe you have it too high, and you can lower it to make sure it's the right height. Because this is a very simple and cheap sewing machine, I don't expect to work as well as a big size sewing machine. And I'm actually surprised that it works. And it works better than the electronic handheld sewing machine or most of the toy sewing machine that's made for kids. And it's only a few dollars for a chain stitch sewing machine. I hope this video is helpful. Thank you for watching and see you next week.